So the Arizona Cardinals are now on a 3-game winning streak. And instead of the national media really talking about the Arizona Cardinals, they're talking about how bad the Chicago Bears are after their loss against the Washington Commanders off the Hail Mary. And I feel like that's a slap in the face to Kyler Murray and to Jonathan Gannon and the Arizona Cardinals as a whole, because this has been a sneaky good football team really all season long. They've had a couple of tough losses against the Green Bay Packers and against the Washington Commanders, sure. But when I look at this Cardinals team, over the last few weeks, you're starting to see how good of a coach Jonathan Gannon really is. Now, let me explain. Last season, this team did not have Kyler Murray in the first half of the season. He was still recovering from that ACL injury that he suffered a year before against the New England Patriots, a non-contact injury. And Kyler Murray looks like a franchise quarterback this season. You may not know this, but Kyler Murray has one of the best touchdown to interception ratios in the NFL. 11 passing touchdowns to just 3 interceptions. You may also not know this either. This is one of the best teams in the NFL at running the football, with James Conner, Amari as the backup running back, and also Trey Benson as well. They go out there and they bludgeon teams, and it's not because the running backs that they have are just over the top. Shout out to James Conner as well. James Conner has consistently been one of the best power backs in the NFL, and if you know James Conner's story coming out of college, it's one of the best stories in the NFL because he had to deal with cancer and he bounced back from it. And he's been a very good power back in the NFL. He's going out there, he's looking for contact. It takes more than just 2 defenders to bring him down, more times than not. And having Amari coming in and basically be the speed running back like how he was against the Chicago Bears is helpful as well. And they also drafted Trey Benson in this year's draft class. But it's more than just the running backs. Drew Petzing does a lot of good things with the run game. Now, the passing concepts can be better. I will say that. But the way that he's able to move guards around and move the tackle around as well and swing guys around, it opens up this run game and it gives them a true identity. Kyler Murray, for majority of his playing career, even dating back to high school, has been set into shotgun formation and a spread offense. That's what Cliff Kingsbury did when he was the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. And it didn't work out. That wasn't winning football at this level with Kyler Murray. And it made Kyler Murray susceptible to sacks. And he'd had to deal with a lot of pressure because the offensive line was not good. I remember when they went out there and they made a trade to bring in Rodney Hudson. They brought in J.J. Watt as a veteran pass rusher. And they brought in DeAndre Hopkins. They made the NFL playoffs, but they fizzled out because Cliff Kingsbury was not a good head coach and he wasn't a good play caller at the time. Shout out to him for going out there with the Washington Commanders and calling better plays. But when I look at Kyler Murray now, they're putting him under center. Now, they'll still run some shotgun plays with Kyler Murray. Don't get it twisted. He can still go back there and be a gunslinger to Marvin Harrison Jr. and to Trey McBride at the tight end spot and to Michael Wilson. But they use that run game to set up the pass. And some weeks, they will come out and they will pass the football. Look at what they did against the Los Angeles Chargers. They won that game off of physicality. And you have Jonathan Gannon right before halftime saying, hey, we have to play with more violence, we have to play with more intensity, and we have to play with more of a motor. What type of head coach says that? And that's a good thing, by the way, because the Arizona Cardinals in the past were seen as a quote-unquote soft team. You look at the Cardinals now, there's nothing soft about them, even defensively. When I look at this offense, this is the perfect offense for Kyler Murray. I would like to see the pass game be better, but guess what? They're winning football games. And it's more than just that. They destroyed the Los Angeles Rams many weeks ago. That was the game that Marvin Harrison Jr. actually arrived in. They fed that man early and often in that game because they went in there with a clear direction of what they wanted to do against the opposing team. They went out there, they passed the football, and they ran the football at an excellent rate as well. And it will be some weeks to where James Conner doesn't have a crazy game. It's not like James Conner's going out there every single week and he's rushing for over 100 yards. No, that's not the case. They go out there and they find a way to attack your weaknesses with their offense against your defense. Look at what happened against the Miami Dolphins. James Conner averaged 2.6 yards a carry, had 1 rushing touchdown. Kyler Murray was excellent in that game. He leads them to field goal range. They go out there, they kick the field goal. Same thing that happened against the Los Angeles Chargers. And you look at the Chicago Bears, they ran the football down their throat and they decimated them with James Conner. And they also allowed Kyler Murray to go out there and throw the football on a consistent basis as well. It's not like they're trying to hide Kyler Murray. The reason why the run game is so significant in this situation with the Arizona Cardinals, you can now move the pocket with Paris Johnson Jr. and those other guys they have on the offensive line as well. And shout out to Paris Johnson Jr., one of the best tackles in the NFC. He's been very underrated this season, in my opinion. He does not get that much love. This is a man that's a first-round pick in last year's draft class, and he's been one of the best offensive linemen in that draft class. He's going to only continue to get better. Every single week, statistically, he's gotten better, and he's dealing with tough competition on a week in and week out basis. I'm not saying the Arizona Cardinals are a top tier team to make a Super Bowl push at all. Don't get it twisted, because their defense, they still have problems because of how young they are. But Jonathan Gannon is masking a lot of those problems because he's such a good defensive head coach. And he was a great defensive coach with the Philadelphia Eagles when they made that Super Bowl run against the Kansas City Chiefs. And that man got a lot of hate because they could not go out there and they could not sack Patrick Mahomes. But that wasn't all on him. We see him right now. He's able to go out there and run a lot of twists, a lot of stunts with this defense. And you're starting to see Zaven Collins be a consistent pass rusher. And this is a man that's a former first-round pick. They need to still go out there and make a trade to get a true edge rusher, because that is what's hurting this team the most. When B.J. Ojulari got injured, he was supposed to step in and be a very good pass rusher in year number 2. Unfortunately, he got injured and he hasn't been able to play. But when I look at the rest of this defense, they have good players. I like the players that they have, especially in the secondary. Budda Baker is a veteran safety. Garrett Williams has a lot of potential to be a true starting cornerback in the NFL on a consistent basis, and he's only 23 years old. You have Sean Murphy-Bunting, who is the veteran. This is a man that has been the true number 1 corner. Now, he was inactive against the Chicago Bears. He was dealing with a neck injury. Hopefully, he can stay okay long term. You also have Thomas as well at that cornerback position. And you have Max Melton, who you drafted in this year's draft class. A lot of young pieces in that secondary. And you have a lot of young guys up front. You may ask, how are they generating pressure on a consistent basis? Like I mentioned before, Jonathan Gannon, he's scheming up pressure. And this defense, they're aggressive. Statistically, they're not a top defense in the NFL, but they make the right adjustments to go out there and find ways to exploit your weaknesses. Look at what they did against the Miami Dolphins. Look at what they did against the Los Angeles Chargers. That man went out there and he stacked the box against the Chargers, and he was being very physical with those wide receivers. That comes down to coaching. Give the players a lot of credit, but that comes down to how good of a coach Jonathan Gannon is. If they can make a trade to go out there and get an edge rusher that can generate pressure on his own, that's going to only help this defense moving forward. But I have been very impressed with the Arizona Cardinals. I will also add on to this. They lead this division. They have defeated the San Francisco 49ers this season. They've also went out there and, like I mentioned before, they blew out the Rams in great fashion. And the way they went out there and they defeated the San Francisco 49ers, they ran the football down their throat. They played very good defense even towards the end of the game. They gave Brock Purdy no room for error in that game. They went out there and they blitzed him over and over again. And it was also a zone blitz towards the end of the game. That was basically the game-stealing interception. You had a defender come off the right side. He hits his arm. It was a delayed blitz, and he goes for an interception. Give the players a lot of credit. But with the culture shift with Jonathan Gannon, I love to see it. I know that Cliff Kingsbury is having a very good year right now with Jaden Daniels, but you didn't see these type of adjustments underneath Cliff Kingsbury and that former administration. I like what they're doing with Kyler Murray right now. He's been very safe with the football. And we also know this as well, one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the NFL. This is a man that's a former first overall pick for a reason. I would like to see them get the football to Marvin Harrison on a more consistent basis, but they're not forcing him the football. When they need to give him the football, they get him the football. Trey McBride last season was a top receiving tight end. This season, 481 receiving yards, 0 receiving touchdowns. And when I make complaints about Marvin Harrison Jr., it's just me being picky here. 28 receptions on the season, 445 receiving yards, 5 receiving touchdowns. But when you look at him on film, the man can constantly get open. He's already one of the best receivers in the NFL skill set wise. He's a perfect wide receiver. He can take the top off the defense, excellent route runner, and he has a huge body. When you watch him on the field, he's bigger than everyone else. The man is 6'4", and he's 205 pounds. That's a big wide receiver, and he's lanky as well. They have Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch. Remember last season, they did not have a top wide receiver. They were missing a number 1 wide receiver. Kyler Murray missed the first half of the season, recovered from that ACL injury. And I also love to see Kyler Murray go out there and have success. Remember when they put into his clause in his contract, he plays video games too much. He's not studying enough film. Seems like he's studying enough film right now. They don't have a tight lead on this division, but the fact that you have beat 2 teams in this division, I do believe right now they're a better team than the Seattle Seahawks. This is scary for every team in this division. They have to continue to win, and they've had some ugly losses. Like I mentioned before, against the Green Bay Packers and against the Washington Commanders. That's going to happen. But give Jonathan Gannon and Kyler Murray a lot of credit. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals long term in the NFL, and especially for the rest of the season? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.